Hey, everybody, Dr. Christine here, coming at you with another episode, and today's November 12th, 2017, and I laugh because my mom mentioned to me yesterday, my mom runs my front desk, if you're not familiar with my office, and she works every other Saturday, and yesterday she said, tomorrow, meaning today, would mark the 51st anniversary if I were married to your father. They divorced when I was 5, which is a good thing. My dad was a very abusive man, an alcoholic, a lot of anger issues. But the point is I never had a great relationship with my dad at all. There were like years and years and years without him in my life or even speaking a word to him. But whenever my mom and dad would have to see each other, it was always an amusing event because my mom just couldn't stand the guy. And as treacherous as it was as a kid, I always found it interesting that my dad would always have like this smirk on his face, and I could tell that underneath all of his corrupted files, if you will, I could still tell that he cared for my mom. And he would try to make comments to make her laugh, and she'd have none of it. But the older I grew and the more I understood relationships and breakups and all of that, it became more clear to me that my dad still loved my mom. And so when she said that they would have been married for 51 years, it made me smile. And what I want to talk about on this message is, gets me choked up, is when my dad was dying in the hospital, we knew that he was going to die. And I was in charge of making that decision. He had on the spot named me his power of attorney, and so with that came the responsibility of, what is enough. He had cancer of the colon, his liver, his heart was like, I think, functioning at below 20% or something ridiculous. But the point is, and this is taking a crazy turn, this message, but with Voxer, with the power of technology, I knew my mom had no interest in going to the hospital to see him, and that's a given. But before I went up to see my dad the last time, I said to my mom, "Hey, Mom, how about you leave my dad? How about you leave Dad a message and just record it into the phone and say something." And so she did, and we had to do 2 takes. The first take was it was so funny because it just sounded scripted, and my mom was nervous. And after I ended her first attempt, we both just started laughing, and I'm like, okay, you have to redo that. And so she recorded the next one, and it was perfect. It was more natural, and she was just wishing him well. But for me, selfishly, I guess, I was closing a loop. And I was closing a loop because I wanted her to say goodbye to my dad. And I wanted my mom to hear, or I wanted my dad to hear, that my mom cared for him in his last moments, and it worked out perfectly. And so when he heard her, when I played the message for him, and he heard her voice, even though he was on forced oxygen and he was just so skinny and wasting away, his mental capacity was still there. He was still the stubborn guy that he always was. And I asked him, I'm like, so Dad, do you want to hear Mom? I had to record a message for you. And his face lit up, and he nodded his head, and when I played her voice, he smiled. And so the reason I share this message is forgiveness and the power of it. It's very healing, and I closed that loop. So I'm not sure I'm even going to publish this, but one thing I can say with certainty is holding on to grudges, it doesn't serve anyone at all. It does no good. It's toxic. It's corrosive. And I was so happy that I did get that chance to spend those 4 days with my dad. And the way it all happened maybe will be another story that I'll share one day, because, he wasn't really in my life. And so how I even was notified that he was sick was pretty much a miracle, and I'll share that another time. But the very first day I saw my dad in the hospital like that, it wasn't the same man. I mean, he had just become emaciated because he let himself go for so long. And that very first day, speaking of forgiveness, he apologized to me. He said he's sorry for being a bad dad and how proud he was of me. And so, more forgiveness. So, it's just powerful, guys. It's so powerful to forgive. And I'm just grateful that it's just in my fabric of my DNA. It's not something I think you really are able to choose. I think you're just wired that way. I mean, you are able to choose. I take that back, but I think that there's just an easier propensity in some people to forgive. And I really feel like that's just how I was born, I just feel like that is how I was born. So forgive somebody, or say you're sorry, or whatever it is, or both. But close the loop, close the loops, and you'll heal from that. I promise you. So if you stuck with me this long through this message, thank you. If I release this, this is just an example of the audios that I'll be sending out to you guys if you join my Boost membership. And my whole goal is to send you audios every single day that will unite, that will uplift, that will unleash the power within. And that's what I fully intend to do. When it comes to being a doctor, there are so many things that I talk about regarding the gut and digestion and diet and obviously enzyme nutrition, but I can tell you with absolute conviction that it's the mental, the emotional aspects of our being that impact our health more than any other. So I hope that you'll join me in my adventures with Boost. To get onto the little notification when that goes live, just click the link in this in this image if I even release it. But there you go. It'll be me, completely unscripted, just sharing with you things that I find to be valuable every single day to boost your life, to add value in some way, shape, or form. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you, or I'll talk to you next time.